For me, it always comes back to one single thing, though. Without collaboration, without that collaborative approach, and taking away the fragmentation within the existing supply chain, creating environments that are collaborative, not competitive, we won't transition. And we can talk as much as we want about the technology's capability and their strengths, but if we don't put people at the heart of the solution and bring people together, we won't transition.
So my first one, do you currently implement digital supply chain technologies in your organization?
So what we do as an organisation at Smart Procurement is we help organisations transition from traditional construction procurement practices, so generally paper-based practices, and transition into digital technologies.
Which technology do you think among these technologies benefit the construction industry? Like supply chain development, yeah.
I would say that that's very much reliant on what the organisation does. So I'll give you, for instance, it's always best to ground these things in real life examples. The construction industry is very traditional and conservative in its approach to how it does things, and I think that the first thing to say is that before getting into which technology is the best or which one is the most widely adopted, etc., I would say it's understanding the people within an organisation and their appetite to adopt technologies, and ask yourself the question, why? Why are they adopting technology, and for what purpose, right? So we know, by and large, most construction companies are faced with an efficiency challenge. We know that efficiency within the construction industry is stagnated for many, many years. There's loads of reports that I've read over time. McKinsey's probably the standout report that says, we're the worst performing. I actually read a report last week saying that the construction industry is the fastest adopter of new digital technologies, and that as a headline caught my attention because I've always heard the opposite, right?
True,
and when reading the article was saying that we're the fastest adopters because we've realised there are actually efficiency benefits by adopting new technologies, and what those new technologies, I would say, are very, very simple technologies like CDEs, creating CDEs and information flows, and the infrastructure behind data management, and transitioning away from a paper-based industry into a digital environment. There's still a long, long way to go. So before I kind of say and put my hand up and say, blockchain's a standout technology, or industry, any of the industry fours, I'd say probably the fastest adopted most recently would be AI.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And about the efficiency thing, so I think this is one of the drivers why construction industry are trying to adopt digital technologies. So what do you think are other drivers that push the construction industry to adopt those digital technologies?
Well, clients are demanding it. That's a key issue. Yeah, clients, you'll see, I often help organisations in the bidding process, and you'll see clients within their bid documentation, for instance, mandate the use of BIM and the BIM protocols. And essentially what that does is it brings a certain level of maturity from within their value chain to the table that says, to express interest or to qualify for this bid, you have to demonstrate your accreditations within BIM, and how you're going to, even almost within the bidding process, you have to present a digital twin of the solution. The other good example is where clients' demand is a driver is cybersecurity. A really obvious example. You put another lens on it, and you actually throw into consideration that the UK construction industry is predominantly delivered not by the tier one contractors, but by the SMEs that work for the tier one contractors at every layer in the value chain. And if you start to mandate cybersecurity requirements that are expensive or prohibitive, they become you become to kind of narrow the field so much so that you don't have capability to deliver what you're trying to deliver. Sometimes grant funding, which suppliers can take benefit of, that's always that kind of promotes the value chain to invest in digital technologies, or even very innovative kind of solutions like Innovate UK.
Like a government could do like frameworks for the construction industry regarding adopted those digital technologies.
Things like the Crown Commercial Services, which is a governmental organisation that does do procurement, and it does procure a lot of services like common services across its departments, like fuel, or like it has its own subsidiary for the NHS, which buys NHS medical equipment, etc., etc. So there are frameworks that exist, and there probably are, and I'm not aware myself, but there probably are frameworks that exist for procuring cybersecurity services across all governmental organisations. I would have thought so, yes. Yeah.
So within that, how do you think like the construction industry culture can facing, like, how can we change the how can I say, the employers' resistance to change and adapting to new technologies? How do you think this is a problem within our construction industry? How can we overcome this problem?
Wow. Okay. I always look at things very simplistically. As an organisation, we break down the challenge into three things. We say, we start with people, okay? Is there a must-do culture where things are mandated, and can we transition that to a want-to culture? So you ask yourself the question, why are we going through a digital transformation? Why do we need these digital technologies? What's the benefit? And in asking the why question, you stimulate discussion over whether or not the people within the organisation, whether that be a construction site or a construction organisation or a construction supplier, want to. And if they want to adopt those new technologies, there's a faster transition period. If you, in understanding the want to, not the must do, if you force someone to do something, they're far more resistant, right?
Yeah.
And I've worked in tier one organizations for over 2 decades, and there was always a rule book, there was always a playbook, right, that constrained how I delivered the services, because for benefits, because that brought about governance, control, and consistency.
Yeah.
But it also is probably one of the key reasons why we have stagnant efficiency on our projects, because we're so constrained, we can't free think. So if you transition to, I want to use a digital technology that helps me go faster, or helps me be safer, or helps me be greener, then and I buy into that, then I'm going to adopt that technology far faster. So I always start with an organisation saying, people first, do they want to or don't they?
Yeah.
The second thing I do is I look at an organisation's process, and I say, are the processes fit for purpose? Are the processes analog, or are they digital? And how do we move from an analog process to a digital version? And then really it's about, the third thing is about digital or technological, and identifying the best technologies to meet the solution or the need, and where the need is. And so you have to start with people, then you have to understand their processes or their ways of working, and then the final thing that the technologies is, do not try and do a monolithic transformation that is trying to fix every problem. Start with small, agile solutions that fix one problem and then move to the next. For me, it always comes back to one single thing, though. Without collaboration, without that collaborative approach, and taking away the fragmentation within the existing supply chain, creating environments that are collaborative, not competitive, we won't transition. And we can talk as much as we want about the technology's capability and their strengths, but if we don't put people at the heart of the solution and bring people together, we won't